Brandon Sheppard is still in a rocket, at least for now. Anthony Macri has a new crew chief. We look ahead to racing tonight at Merced and a lot more. Let's go. It's Tuesday, November 22nd. I'm Justin Fiedler. This is Dirt Tracker Daily. We're just a little more than a week away from the Gateway Dirt Nationals getting underway in St. Louis, and yesterday Brandon Sheppard and his Sheppard Riggs racing team showed off their paint scheme for the event. They have partnered with Budweiser and True Timber Camo to spotlight the Veteran Golfers Association. Very cool patriotic scheme for B-Shep, red, white, and blue, done by Night Owl Design. Should be pretty easy to spot inside the dome next week. What's interesting to point out here, though, is that in the design mock-up, the car does have Rocket on the rear spoiler. There continue to be rumors and rumblings about this team switching to Longhorn chassis, but at least for now, it looks like they're sticking with Rockets. The team is set to begin their 2023 season at Vado Speedway Park for the Wild West Shootout, so there would still be plenty of time for them to make that swap if indeed that was what was happening. But again, still Rockets for now. I did have a YouTube comment where someone said there was a photo of the B5's pit cart at Longhorn Chassis next to a car being built that was kind of floating around somewhere. So if anyone has that photo, shoot it to me via DM or email. The Gateway Dirt Nationals start next Thursday, December 1st. And up in Pennsylvania, Anthony Macri will have a new crew chief for next season on his family-owned sprint car. 2022 was a bit of a chaotic season for that crew chief spot with Macri as the team split with Jim Shuttlesworth over the summer and then got help from Bernie Stubjen and Ryan Hahn to close out the season. For 2023, Joe Mooney is moving from his car chief spot at Casey Kane Racing on the Napa 49 over to that crew chief role with Macri. Mooney is from Pennsylvania and just spent the past 4 years on the top team with the Outlaws. Before that, he also had a stint with Shark Racing. I like this move all the way around. Mooney had been working with guys like Eric Pretzman, Rob Beatty, Justin Adams the last several seasons. All of those guys are experienced sprint car wrenches, and now he'll take that championship-winning knowledge to Macri, who's one of the sport's rising stars. As Macri continues to travel more and more away from central Pennsylvania, Mooney is a good pickup because of his knowledge and experience at tracks all over the country. Plus, he's just a nice guy. I've known Joe for a few years now. Excited to see what he can do with that team. It does mean change is coming to that Brad Sweet team, which they haven't had during this championship run of 4 straight titles. I think it was inevitable, though, that teams were going to come knocking for their guys. We'll see what KKR does for next season to fill that hole. We know they have been looking for some crew members. And some racetrack news for you today. Macon Speedway in Illinois has been sold. Don't worry, though, this one will remain as a racetrack. Longtime track owner Bob Sargent and his ownership group that included Tony Stewart, Ken Schrader, and Kenny Wallace have made the decision to deal the track to promoter Chris Kearns. If you don't know Kearns' name, you certainly know his work. He's the man behind the Wild West Shootout each January. He's also in the past promoted Santa Maria Raceway in California. He's promoted World of Outlaws shows, and he worked for USAC for a long time running the CRA, Western Stage Midgets, and the West Coast Sprint Cars, among other things. Kearns will take over the track for 2023 with Sargent sticking around to help aid in the transition. According to the local Herald and Review paper, Kearns is currently living in Kentucky but will reside in Macon during the race season. Not a whole lot will change in Macon, at least initially. Kearns is planning to retain much of the Macon staff. This move for Sargent actually makes a lot of sense as his company Track Enterprises has a lot going on, including the recent announcement that they are starting a national series for pavement super late models called the Stars National Series. Macon is home to a weekly program that includes late models, modified street stocks, and more. Plus, they have a bunch of special events through the year. In 2022, that included the Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series, Power Eye Midgets and Micros, and then their regular Herald and Review 100 for the Summer Nationals. Over at speedsport.com yesterday, Alex Neaton had a piece about Blake Hahn and his 2023 plans. Fresh off his second consecutive ASCS National Tour Championship, Hahn is planning to expand much more into 410 racing next year. This move to 410 competition has been something that's been in the works for a while, but because of other factors just kept getting pushed back. He has made a handful of 410 appearances in recent years. That includes his first run at the Knoxville Nationals that came back in August. He ended up 15th in a Saturday C-Main then. Hahn told Neaton they will most likely run a pick-and-choose schedule with a mixture of World of Outlaws, All-Stars, and high-limit races on tap. Speaking of the Hahn family, also the owners of the Chili Bowl, I've got a few Chili Bowl news bits for you today as well. We're still probably at least a few days away from getting a look at an initial entry list for the event, as they don't release names until they get to that first 100 entries. But we do know a few things. First, NHRA funny car driver Cruz Pedregon is returning to the event as a car owner. He has plans to field 2 entries coming up in January. He's participated in the Chili Bowl before and tweeted that he'll announce a driver lineup next week. He just recently purchased a car from Mike and Brian Dunlap. Those guys campaigned cars last year for Casey Schumann and Gary Taylor, and as far as I know, will continue to campaign a couple of cars. Also, fellow YouTuber and sprint car driver Tanner Holmes announced via his channels here in the last day or so that he will make his first appearance inside the Expo Center. He's got a ton of laps in outlaw karts and sprint cars, but his midget experience is pretty low, so he's planning a test in advance of the event to get comfortable. If you want to know more about Tanner, check out his YouTube channel and my past Conversations episode with him. Fun side note, me and Tanner are actually from the same place in Oregon. As we get closer to the Chili Bowl, we'll keep you updated on that entry list. Looking ahead to tonight, Merced Speedway in California is set to host the USAC National Midgets and 360 Sprint Cars. Merced will again host tomorrow before USAC then goes to Ventura on Saturday for Turkey Night. And yes, I know it's not Thursday. They moved Turkey Night to Saturday. I don't know why. I don't know if they were hoping maybe for big crowds, but Turkey Night is Saturday, not Thursday. And I was messaging this morning with Merced's GM, Doug Lockwood. Those guys are fired up for these shows the next 2 nights. We should be north of 40 midgets in the pits, and Doug told me they're expecting at least 32 sprint cars. On the midget side, if Buddy Kofoid can add 29 points to his tally tonight, he'll lock up the season championship over Justin Grant. Buddy and JG split the wins at Merced a year ago, with Tanner Thorson and Thomas Meserol victorious there in 2020. Kofoid is on a 2-race win streak coming out of Placerville. He's got a ton of momentum on his side right now. Sprint car field will be deep the next 2 nights. We should get some really good racing, I think. The list I saw includes both Carson and Cole Macedo, Justin Sanders, Ryan Timms, Colby Copeland, Chase Randall. Buddy Kofoid will be in a sprint car, as will Logan Seavey, the Carrick brothers, Dominic Selzy, Corey Day, Tyler Courtney, and a lot more. And obviously a bunch of those guys will be doing double duty as well. If you're an open wheel fan, definitely make your way to Merced tonight, but if not, make sure to be tuned in on Flow Racing. If you need a Flow subscription, you can click the link below in the video description or any of the Flow links over at dirttracker.com. There are 3 items on today's streaming schedule. Flow Racing has the USAC Midgets and 360 Sprint Cars, like I just said, from Merced, plus Flow 24/7. There's also Dirt Vision Now. To see the full daily streaming schedule with links to watch, visit dirttracker.com/watch tonight. That's it for the show today. Have a good Tuesday. Please hit that like button and subscribe to the show if you don't do so already. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow for more Dirt Tracker Daily.